Now batting for the Reds, number 44, the shortstop, Elly. They are through.
Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Straz.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast. I'm Roger. That's Ricky. It is Wednesday at 8 p.m.-ish, and we are live, and we got lots of stuff to go through. Got a lot of things. We weren't live on Sunday night, and kind of thankfully, we got actually a couple more bits of news to go through on this show, so it should be a jam-packed show of different Reds news and other various news that, like, the Hall of Fame results came in. For example, we had some, signings of big free agents that we possibly could just loosely touch on because they kind of involve the Reds a little bit. But for the most part, we got lots of Red news. We had a trade last week with Gavin Lux, for example, had Redsfest on the weekend. Lots of things happening. But before we get through all that, Ricky, how was your last 10 so days?
Pretty good. Didn't do a whole lot, but just hanging out. Getting kind of frustrated by the Reds, not doing anything. It's like that old meme where it's like the guy with the stick. It's like, come on, do something. It's like that's how we feel about the Reds not addressing the offense. But well, what do we do?
Well, on that take, that reminds me of your take of having basically a free agency period that has a deadline, and that might get some teams to get off their butts a little bit more because they might, soccer has transfer windows and European soccer and stuff like that, where you can't sign players after a certain period. If they do that in baseball, I know probably the collective bargaining agreement, that might be something down the road they talk about later this year. Maybe not. We'll see. But that could motivate some teams to kind of get off their butts and whatnot. Team like the Reds as well. But there have been some rumors about some guys possibly Andahar coming back, possibly, maybe, somewhat. Doesn't sound like Hayes is coming back, but we kind of knew that basically because they declined his option at the end of the year anyway, even though that, Bellinger unfortunately is off the table because he's going back to the Yankees, even though he opted out of his contract. But he got an extension, so kudos to him and his agent. They're going to be.
They got some opt-outs too, I believe. There's, 2 in the first 3 years, I think is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's going to be possibly the new world order, especially.
No, I wanted to ask, is this a new thing? Like I've been seeing that players are getting like really sizable signing bonuses here lately. Like, has that always been a thing with baseball?
I mean,
I guess I've never paid attention to it that much, but I don't remember seeing like Bellinger. I think he got a $20 million signing bonus. I think Kyle Tucker got like a $60 million signing bonus. Like I'm not used to seeing baseball contracts announce signing bonuses.
It's definitely, from just quick analysis, of really like an NFL thing, getting that guaranteed money up front. If I had to guess, it's because of that impending possible lockout coming sooner than later after the end of this season, December 1st. Or as Brody Brazil, I watched one of his videos, so shout out Brody Brazil, said December 2nd, 2026, maybe no baseball activities or whatever. So there may be a situation where a bunch of these free agents this year are like, hey, you want me to sign? Give me some money up front so that way I will play for your team. But I want the guaranteed money up front so that way, if we're in a lockout, I have, that bread or whatever you want to call it. They secure the bag or whatever.
Got that security blanket.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of these guys, I wouldn't be surprised we'll get some reports and whatnot of certain ones signing because they don't know what their long-term, basically what's going to happen after 2026, right? So I don't know. There hasn't been that too many rumblings of that. We'll get into the Elly extension, obviously, and what that's all about in terms of why and what happened with that, and obviously our takes on it as well. But before that, there was some MLB news about Hall of Fame. If we had our show on Sunday, we'd have to speculate. But on Tuesday, the ballots came in, the results came in on the Hall of Fame voting. And this is kind of a thing I always look forward to because, like, the new year is like the start of the baseball season, and you kind of get some like, oh, it's almost spring training, it's almost opening day. But really, the thing that kind of gets the baseball conversation going, especially in the middle of NFL playoffs, is Hall of Fame results, man. Like maybe one of your, like guys you watched when you were a kid finally gets in, or maybe a player you admired from afar got in. Congratulations to Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones for getting in. 80+% for both of them, I believe, and 75 is what you have to clear. So shout out to them for getting a pretty good sizable amount of votes. So do you have any thoughts or anything on those two getting in, Ricky?
Yeah, I'm just really glad to see Andrew Jones get in. I just feel like he deserves, 10-time Gold Glove winner, 5-time All-Star, a Silver Slugger. He's 62 WAR. I feel like some of the old, we're starting to get into this generation of Hall of Famers where like the traditional stats aren't going to look as good as the old-fashioned Hall of Fame players. Like Andrew Jones is a 254 hitter, but when you look at like a lot of the more advanced stats, like he had, OPS plus, he was an above league average hitter all but like 7 years out of his 17-year career. Like he's over 400, I think 440 home runs, I think for 434 for a center fielder. I mean, that's incredible. And he spent most of his career with Atlanta. That's how I remember him. Just one of the greatest defensive center fielders I've ever seen. And being a defensive center fielder hitting 50 home runs in a season in 2005, we still don't see that in today's game other than like Acuna, but he's more transitioned to right field with the injuries he's dealt with. But yeah, I mean, and Beltran, kind of has that stain on his career to end his career with Houston with the trash can camera scandal. But you can't ignore the fact that he's one of the best center fielders of this generation of players. He's been really consistent all of his career, and I'm just glad to see that both of those guys get in. Now, I to kind of get off a tangent here, I kind of wish that we'd start seeing more players that really deserve to be in, even though that they've been linked to PEDs, because if we're gonna die on that soapbox, I just like, then why did David Ortiz get in? Because he's a nice guy. Like he was on the list too, and he tested positive. So like, why are we ignoring certain players and putting certain players in? And Bonds deserves to get in. Clemens deserves to get in. Manny Ramirez probably deserves to get. Like all these guys that have been linked. Robinson Cano is probably eventually going to get in. Like he tested positive twice. Like I don't know. I think that it's time to just get over it. It happened. It wasn't like 7 players were doing it. It was like half the league, if not more. So it was kind of like you were already good, and it just made your career have more longevity, I guess.
Yeah, I think Andy Pettitte finished 4th behind Chase Utley, and Utley finished 3rd in the voting overall, if I remember that. And Pettitte is linked to having some PED use and whatnot, and admitting to it. To quickly answer your question, Ricky, I think baseball, as you know, is a game of unwritten rules at times. And one of the unwritten rules Baseball Writers of America love to do is this morality clause, and that I don't think it's anywhere written down or whatnot. I could be wrong, I guess, but it's kind of like a little thing that they kind of apply to certain players, right? David Ortiz passed that test. Pettitte may pass that test eventually. Definitely Bonds, Clemens, don't.
A-Rod.
Yeah. Also, a guy that when I was growing up, a guy that a lot of people talked about should have been in the Hall of Fame, Ron Santo. Ron Santo rubbed the writers wrong and had some sort of weird morality clause where they never get in. Yeah. And then immediately after he dies, the Golden Era Committee or what have you, I think got him in kind of the same way that Jeff Kent got in with the Modern Era Committee. So, like, there may be some avenues for some of these guys. I don't know if all of them get in. Obviously we've talked about this before. Just build a steroid era wing and just be done with the morality clause. But there's definitely a lot of writers out there that are going to hold to it. And there's a lot of writers that will turn in ballots that may have just one guy voted for whatever reason. And that's just the system we have. I'm not justifying their actions. I'm not saying that what they're doing is right or wrong, but that's what's happening at the moment. I am glad to kind of transition. The word that you kept saying that I kept hearing is center fielder. And there was a stat that I saw since 1981 or 1983. Do you know how many center fielders have been sent to Cooperstown?
The last one that I could think of is Griffey, right?
Yep. And the other one was Kirby Puckett.
Huh. Wow.
So, now we have 4 in the last 40-plus years that have gotten in. They're center fielder. And center fielder, as you know, Ricky, is probably the captain of the outfield, right? He's the guy that if the ball is between the gap between the two of them, he's supposed to win the wave the other guy off because he's got the better range, the better ability to read on the ball and whatnot. So, and that's exactly why I think Andrew Jones deserves to be in the Hall. Generationally, the best center fielder by far for his generation.
Yeah.
You can't really. I mean, there may be some arguments for some other guys, but as long and as he roamed in that field out there in Atlanta, whatever Truist or whatever it was before, I forget. He was the center fielder. He Golden Glove all the time. Gold Glove all the time. No doubt about it, right? Andrew Jones pencil him in every year as long as he plays enough games or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm just kind of confused as to why we aren't up the middle is where teams build their team, right? Like shortstop, second base, pitcher, catcher. You know what I mean? Those are the guys, right? So it's kind of interesting to see that only 4 guys in the last 40 years or so have gotten in. So I'm glad. And Beltran also falls in that category as well as a center fielder. I think he, in his later years, because he won a World Series at age 40. So shout out to the older guys. Still playing at age 40 for the Houston Astros. I think he turned his career more into like a DH type of thing, since that was more of a thing to do in the AL back then with the Houston Astros. So I don't know. Overall, I think both of them deserve on the merits of their play. There is other things outside of it and whatnot that we can get into, but I don't think we'll feature that on this show. This is we're just talking about baseball and keep it moving. But anyway.
I got one question for you. It kind of does with the Reds in the Hall of Fame. Speaking of morality clauses and stuff, Pete Rose will be eligible for the I think the Golden Era Committee in 2028.
Yeah.
What how do you think that fares for him?
I don't know, because I'm trying to think of the guys that generally work in that that voting committee, because it's a small committee, right? We learned that the modern era committee is 9 voters or something like that, or 13 voters, I believe. So it's a small group you got to win over, which I think increases your chance just statistically. I don't know exactly. Who you'd be exactly going up against and whatnot, because they don't vote in everybody that gets nominated. It ends up being maybe 1 or 2 guys at most from those special committees. I don't know. We'd have to see. 2028 is still a little bit far from now, so there could be a lot of campaigning, a lot of little things and stuff in the news that may or may not help Pete Rose's eligibility and whatnot. Like I said, we're just going on baseball merit, which if you look through all of baseball history and the guys and their history of, off-field activities, just to kind of put it in a certain category, there's a lot of guys that don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, which is why it's such a weird thing to have this morality clause, this unwritten rule all of a sudden. I think that's a modern invention because there's plenty of guys that were not good people that are in baseball's Hall of Fame. That cheating the game, I guess, is kind of the ultimate sin, which is the ultimate sin that they levy against Pete Rose, right? Ruining the integrity of the game, because we want to all think they're playing on one level field, but at the same time, it's more than do. And I think we said this on a previous show. Let's separate the art from the artist. Pete Rose, the ball player, is a Hall of Famer. Pete Rose, the manager,
cheated.
Forget it.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, send him to whatever planet, get him off this island, whatever you want to call it. Same thing with Bonds. Pittsburgh Bonds, was still a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
San Francisco Bonds, cheater. You know what I mean? Obviously never tested positive and all that, and kind of his arrogance and his personality, I think, rubs voters the wrong way, but it shouldn't preclude him from the Hall of Fame, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess my point on that too is that like the commissioner of baseball was championing these guys. They saved the sport, essentially. Post lockout, you got the home run chase with Sosa and McGuire, and then Bonds comes out and just obliterates it.
Yeah.
And I think what got me though is just you had the guys like going to court and then lying. It's like just say you did it. It's like
the whole
it's
thing
obvious. Like Palmeiro, it's been documented that he tested positive. He's like, he points at the camera. I did not do it. It's like, dude, like you did. Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, if we're there's not a politics show, but we also had a president go on live TV and said, "I did not, with that woman." So the precedent kind of got set in that sense in terms of the legalities of it. Getting the U.S. government involved in baseball, this sounds like an off-season episode that we can get into in terms of all this stuff. But I guess I'm trying to separate art from the artist. The guys that on the baseball field looked like Hall of Famers, and I guess that's also the other thing, the eye test, right? Like, there's a bunch of baseball players, maybe even a former Cincinnati Red that got elected in 2020 that doesn't really pass the eye test of like, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. But you look at Andrew Jones, you're like, yeah,
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, just watching
Carlos Beltran, Hall of Famer.
Just watching them play, right? Yeah, I think Beltran. I think the stat is he's got 400 homers and 300 stolen bases, and there's like only 4 other guys that have done that.
I think that sounds like one of those.
Yeah, that sounds like Hall of Famer. Griffey, Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? So I guess we should just kind of simplify all this. I feel like the voters and the morality and whatever else is going on at the time seems to complicate this.
Yeah, I guess one last thing, and then we can move on. The speculated candidates for the 2028 contemporary era players.
Okay.
Pete Rose, Kurt Schilling, Albert Bell, and Dwight Evans.
Oh boy.
So those are names that are rumored. There's nothing set in stone.
Yeah.
Pete is. That's when he's his first year of eligibility, I guess, for the post era of post more whatever it is. I don't know how they decide. Speaking of Kurt Schilling, he should be in a Hall of Fame. I don't know how he's not, but let's move on.
Separate art from artist. That's all I got to say. But speaking of an artist, a guy that or I guess a bunch of guys that showed up and had a party is 2026 Redsfest that just happened this past weekend. Not the greatest transition, but I'm trying. We went a little bit longer on the Hall of Fame talk than I thought.
We did.
But you know what? That's all right. This is off-season podcast. We're going to be loose and flying through. No baseball to commentate on. But
sadly, no Reds in the Hall of Fame. Probably won't see one for a while. Other than potentially Votto, but other than him, I'm not seeing anybody in the next 15 years.
No, I think we're going to be looking for the 2029 Reds Hall of Fame vote. Looking forward to that more than Votto should be close to getting on. Anyway, is it 5 years, right? So that he done in 2020. It should be around there. 2029 will be a great year, except for the fact, Elly will be out of control. But we'll get into Elly stuff later.
Yeah.
The Redsfest happened this weekend, and it was reported that 21,000 plus showed up. And just for comparison, the last time it was held was December 2023, which I attended as well. It was only 16,000 and some change that went to that Redsfest. So just on that alone, it shows you the hunger for this city, the hunger for this fan base. People probably driving from all over Reds country just to see their favorite players, to see their, Cowboy was there. I saw an interview with him. Like all sorts of Reds personalities were there, and Tito and all the coaching staff, even our favorite Chris Felica was there. But it was a big party, and I think everyone that attended went home really excited about this upcoming season. I did point out in my post about the update of 2026 Reds Fest is that the last time we had a Reds Fest, the Reds had won 82 games, and then the next year, not so well. Not saying that's going to happen this year, but what I mean, let's I guess have some cautious optimism going into 2026 season because hey, it's baseball. Baseball can happen, but the Reds Fest, as far as I can tell, I was there on Friday night. It was great. It had lots of it had like everybody that Hunter Green to Rhett Lauder to Elly De La Cruz to Big Sugar was there. So it was a great time. I don't know, Rick, you didn't go, but what did you see based on? Because it was also big a social media post of everyone with their favorite player getting signatures and whatnot. And what did you see from your vantage?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I saw a story that Hunter Green taught a kid how to throw a slider.
I was there. Yeah.
That was cool. There was a couple kids that they're really big fans of Andrew Abbott, and they had mentioned like their favorite moment of his, and seeing the players on their own post their own pictures on social media. Like Noemi Marte posted pictures of playing with kids, rolling baseballs on the floor and tossing with kids, and stuff like that. I guess we're lucky as fans that we have an event like this because there's not a lot of teams that actually do this that I've actually found out. I thought every team did this, and I guess not. But yeah, it's like it's awesome. Just you see these guys, and so many people put these people on a pedestal, and to see them kind of come down to your level and just be a regular guy with the fans is just a really awesome thing that we're lucky to have.
Yeah, speaking of Andrew Abbott, his I think she's a news anchor girlfriend.
Yeah,
shouted him out because he stayed even later. Because there was a lot of times where like the lines get so long, and then all of a sudden the players have to go somewhere, or like Reds Fest is closing. But it sounds like Andrew Abbott on Friday night stayed as late as possible to get autographs. And yeah, sorry, Mike. I'm not a big autograph guy, to be honest with you, but I got some pictures. I got pictures with our favorite PA announcer, Joe Zurhausen, and also pictures with our guy that Greg Kuffner interviewed, Dane Myers. Who else? I forget. I ran into a couple guys. Reese Hines. Yeah, Reese Hines was nice. Brandon Williamson randomly came into Nick Lodolo's Q&A session and was just like clapping loud and everything. And like it was so weird because he like walked right in front of me, and it just was like, Brandon, and he's like, hey. That's the weird thing and kind of cool thing about Reds Fest that can be a little bit daunting, a little bit, I guess, weird and awkward, is that these guys are like walking like literally past you at times, and sometimes there's so much going on, so much stimulation of things are going on, you don't even realize it, that who's there and who's not. Certain guys obviously garner a lot more attention than others. When I was trying to get a picture of Key Brian Hayes, he had a line super long, and then I'm not gonna like push myself in front of a kid who wants a signature just to get a picture of Key Brian Hayes.
That's when you bring your kid, that we have an excuse.
yeah I figure next year, Ricky, let's bring our kids so we can have a little guy that
we can shove our way to the front.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that some of these guys have autograph lines and everything set up as well. But I didn't feel that was the best use of my time, just sit in line. I would just walk around the thing, and it's 3 floors, you know what I mean? Like, so it's not like it's just all on one thing. You can do all sorts of stuff all the time. So it's definitely a big party, and the convention center looks great. It looks nice and clean, and it's got some nice vantage points of everything to look out onto the city from, like, just the windows looking out there and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, overall, it seemed like just like, Hunter Green was kind of rumored not to be there. I feel like I saw a post from him saying like, I feel so bad about not coming to Reds Fest this year. And then all of a sudden, like in the last 11th hour, boom, he switches. He's there. And it's like, and that's cool. And like you said, I was there at the Q&A where he literally took out his time to like teach a kid how to throw the ball. And I'm like,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And obviously well covered the stuff about him being kind of having some friction with the front office and him coming back from his rehab starts. So for him to kind of show that maturity and be like, you know what, the problems I have with the Reds has nothing to do with the fans and whatnot. So he gave all of his time, all of himself, and he even had a couple questions that, like, you know, he was getting emotional about. So like he's even kind of showing some vulnerability to the fan base in so much that, like, hey man, like, he really cares about this team and this fan base.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Mike brings up, just for reference, that Diamondbacks do it, but only for season ticket holders. It's wild. I guess.
Yeah, the Reds have that kind of thing, that there's a general admission and then there is a season ticket holder section of different events and whatnot, and then there's just like a whole floor just for kids. So like that's the aspect. And like I volunteered in 2023, which is like where Luke Maley's kid was playing in like a what's it called? Those trampolines.
Yeah.
So like Luke Maley, I met Mr. Maley. I met his dad and met Luke and whatnot, and that's where like his kid was with his wife and everything. So it also got that aspect to it. Like it's not just for autograph seekers. It's not just for, you know, hardcore fans. It's got like, it runs the gamut. So it's probably why they waited so long, because the convention center has kind of been out of commission, being renovated, which stinks. But at the same time, I think it kind of invigorated that hunger in the fan base. So now that's why there was 21,000 plus going to see Redsfest over the 2 days. And, you know, there's a bunch of our I think Surboy was there. I didn't cross paths with him. This is how big it is. It's like I knew Surboy was there somewhere, but I couldn't find him. I couldn't even meet up with him or whatever. I think a couple other guys that follow us, I saw their posts like in live, like real time, when I'm like right there too and whatnot. And some other people in the universe of Reds, I don't know, influencers, Reds social media account people and whatnot. So I don't know. Overall, great time. It's like I said, there's so much going on. I feel like I missed so much at the same time I was experiencing so much, but you know, that's why there's always next year, Ricky. You can come out and come with me or go with your family on your own and whatnot, experience it. It's a good time one way or the other.
Yeah, I had a last minute issue that couldn't get a babysitter on time. Well, I shouldn't say babysitter, child sitter, whatever.
That's why next year, I mean, I've gone solo the last 2 times, so I think I'm bringing my kids next time. Just because, like you said, it could be a little bit of a buffer in terms of the awkwardness of like all the autograph chasers and whatnot. Oh, Chase Burns had a big line too as well.
It was also his birthday, I think, too, right?
I think a day before or somewhere. It was close. I can't remember. It was around there because they ended up talking about that. Oh, and speaking of Chase Burns, transition, he was one of the 2025 Reds award winners for the season. And this was kind of cool because last time, I want to say, they announced the 2024 awards, it was kind of just like in the offseason. Obviously, they didn't have a Redsfest to announce it, I think, for the winners last year, where I think Elly took home MVP and our guy, Nick Martinez, was pitcher of the year. And speaking of Luke Maley was the humanitarian of the year award. I forget what they call it. But yeah, it's just kind of like the good guy of the year. Oh, Joe Nuxhall, good guy of the year.
Yeah, the Joe Nuxhall award.
Anyway, 2025 awards happened. It was pretty cool because, like, you know, it's kind of the guys you suspected. So we run through the awards. I think it was 2025 hitter minor leaguer of the year, Alfredo Duno. Obvious choice there. I feel it in so many ways. The way we've covered it, anyone else that covers the Reds probably can say, yeah, that sounds right. 2025 minor league pitcher of the year, Chase Burns, like we were just talking about, had a good year. Everyone's trying to get his autograph. The overall MVP of the minors was our guy in University of Miami repper Sal Stu. Sal Stewart got that. So that was the minor league portion of the awards. And so it was kind of weird because like they put everybody on stage as the nominees, but it's like, if you really like follow the Reds closely enough, like those are not the nominees, those are the winners. Like, yeah, like you're putting up Alfredo Duno, and like I guess he could be the MVP and Sal could be the hitter of the year, but you know, anyway. So then they throw up on the last 3 awards, the like the Good Guy Award, MVP, and Pitcher of the Year for the major league team, just 2 guys, Pagan and Abbott. So I'm thinking, okay, what could happen here? Because like it could be Pagan could be the Pitcher of the Year, right? He had a pretty decent season, his best, 30 plus saves, I think, for
Career high.
And Abbott could be the MVP, and then maybe Pagan could also be the Good Guy of the Year because we know he's really involved in the community and whatnot. No, it ended up being the other way where he was just the Joe Nuxhall Good Guy of the Year, and then Andrew Abbott got MVP and Pitcher of the Year, which kind of surprised me, I guess. I didn't have that in my bingo card. I guess what were your thoughts, Ricky, on just the minor leagues or the major league guy awards?
Yeah, I think Hunter Green's going to come out in 2026 and have a career year and contend for a Cy Young, because that's another year he's just has this, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, just
he's getting dissed.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what does he got to do to win Pitcher of the Year? I mean, he threw his first complete game shutout. He almost no hit the Cubs. Like that's going back to that. I think that was one of his questions in a Q&A. I think someone said that who's like one hitter he hates facing, and he said Seiya Suzuki because they got the hit off of him in the shutout.
Yep.
I mean, Andrew Abbott deserved it. Like I don't want to take it away because he had an unbelievable season. Had Hunter Green pitched all year, he probably gets it hands down. But I mean, what does Hunter Green got to do to get a little bit of respect in terms of team awards? Because in 2024, what he missed like 4 weeks with the elbow. Like it wasn't long.
Yeah.
And he came back and he was still really good, but
he finished 8th in Cy Young.
Yeah, I mean, he had a Cy Young caliber year.
Mm-hmm.
And he did again this year if you take away a couple, like 1 or 2 starts. And missing, a month and a half, almost 2 months roughly. But, like, I hope that Hunter uses that as fuel again, and he can go out and just improve. And I don't know, at what point does he request a trade with all the dissing? We're seeing reports of the Elly news and the Matt McLean news last year, and the whole we're going to trade Hunter Green just to get a hitter. But I mean, Abbott deserved it. I mean, he was an all-star, and he finally put together a full, consistent season without having that massive letdown at the end of the year. What did you think? Because Lodolo could have had a legitimate shot too.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I never really viewed, I guess, Abbott as the MVP of the team, if that makes sense. Pitcher of the Year, yeah, I can see that easily, right? Like obviously he missed the month of April or something like that, or came back, late April. I can't remember exactly, but he was injured too, right? So like I don't understand this double standard against Hunter Green. I know if we're gonna read the tea leaves or get the tinfoil hat out, obviously we have kind of also voiced it on the show that it feels like they got some sort of thing against Hunter. Maybe it's this like weight of expectation thing that Will Benson kind of goes through in terms of like, because he's such a highly touted prospect, he should be even better. But like, if he missed, I don't even know. I'm trying to, when you were like talking, like I was thinking like if he missed like a month less than he did, or 3 weeks 2 weeks less, does that make Hunter the MVP? And then like Abbott could be the Pitcher of the Year, or vice versa? Like it's kind of a head scratching thing. I'm not exactly sure. Obviously they're not going to, like reveal who's voting on that, because I feel like it's just front office and maybe employees around the office and whatnot. I mean, like I said, I had a inkling that like, Emilio Pagan was Pitcher of the Year when he first came on stage, because I was like, he had a great year, and he
Tony Santion.
Oh yeah, Santion too, but like, Pagan, had career year, I guess is the thing. So did Santiago, I guess. in a
Oh,
way.
I guess in an important role. I guess just being the closer.
Yeah, especially because lost Alexis Diaz in a trade. There was some maybe instability about that, whatever. But then I was thinking like, okay, well then is Elly not on the stage because he's doing something? Like, is he like the MVP? But then like not having him be MVP, obviously, it's fine. You know what I mean? He didn't have his best year. He won the MVP in 2024 for this franchise, and I don't know. I guess I'm more kind of concerned about the fact that this franchise doesn't value Hunter Green as much as we do. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I thought of when I saw Abbott take both of them. I'm not saying Abbott shouldn't win any awards. He had his best season by far, no doubt about it. But I don't know, a bit head scratching. But like I said, like you said, 2026 hopefully makes Hunter even more upset and gets him out there, and he'll pitch even better than he has in 2024 and 2025.
Hey, he's gonna go out and throw a perfect game this year.
If he doesn't get a dang award for even if he's out a month, like forget this injury thing. Like pitchers miss time. The only guy that didn't miss time this year was Brady Singer. So why wasn't he pitcher of the year? Because I have an argument that he could be because he was the most consistent and he ate up innings that allowed the bullpen to rest some nights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, give him an award for pitcher of the year and give Abbott the MVP. I don't know. That's just a different thing. So.
In terms of this, they are both throwing, as far as I'm aware. I think I saw a video of Aguilar throwing. They're wearing the band on their elbow or forearm for the stress test thing. The last I heard that Aguilar will be ready for spring training. I thought I heard that Williamson had a setback towards the end of the season, but he could be ready for spring training.
I saw a note that he's going to a certain place in Atlanta to help his velocity. Before spring training starts, I want to say.
So I'm assuming he's good. I'm assuming they're both good to go.
And I saw him right there cheering for Nick Lodolo. He looked pretty healthy to me.
Hey, Brandon, how's the elbow?
I should have asked. Like I said, he surprised me because he jumped right in front of me when I was watching the Lodolo questions and whatnot. And he seemed like a good spot. He's holding his kid. He didn't look like he was, hurting in any way. But, I don't know. There's all sorts of little things. He might be on a different track than 100% ready. I did see Tyler Callahan, though, will be ready for spring training. They confirmed that, and he seems ready to go. I saw him as well just, when they did all the player announcements, and he seems to be in a good spot. His arm looks good, but, hopefully he can get out there and play.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised he starts in AAA and kind of works his way back to kind of baseball shape if that makes any sense, or just gets back to a rhythm where it makes sense. And to be honest with you, and we'll get into it a little bit, I guess, later, the Gavin Lux trade, as we talked about, kind of clears a path for him in certain ways. If Gavin Lux is not on the major league roster, he might have a lot more opportunities to play, being that guy that can play infield and outfield for the Redlegs.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about this real quick before we go in any further. I just had this pop up. Kyle Tucker's salary for this season is $1 million. He got a $64 million signing bonus.
So I'm sure, just like Ohtani's contract, even though it's deferred, it's still is a major percentage of that will be in the luxury tax counting. So that sounds ridiculous. So they instead of deferring it, they just gave him it all up front.
Yeah, it's a bonus. Yeah, essentially, which is crazy because there's no salary cap to put a bonus towards. So I'm guessing the bonus would take away from the luxury tax.
I don't think so. I think it would still.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Because he's got an AAV of 60 a year, right?
Yeah,
so I think
he would be 65 for this year, but 64 is going to be in a signing bonus.
I wouldn't be surprised if 40 to 50 million of that counts toward the luxury tax accounting. Yeah. But we'll see. A Spotrac, you can check that out. But we'll see. We'll see.
I see Carrick. Do you think Franco will be moved to the bullpen? I don't know. I think logistically, I think he starts the year out in Louisville still, even though he is on the 40 man.
Yeah.
I think they'll keep him as a starter because I think they're going to move on from Singer. And you don't know what you're getting from Louder just yet, health wise. We don't know what they're going to do with Burns just yet. You got the Lodolo situation with the contract. What are they going to do with him? I think you get peak value if you try to move him this year at the deadline. Although, if you're fighting for a playoff spot, you don't want to trade your second or third, who could be your third best pitcher. I guess he's a 1A if he's on his game. But if Abbott can be what he was this past year, when you got two legitimate lefties with Brandon Williamson, if he's healthy, is a really good left-handed pitcher too. So like you have a lot of depth that we're just somehow denying in the front office, which I'm just not understanding why. We're we can't move a pitcher because we have to add another one. It's like, do we? I mean, we have a starting five of, if you go by based off last year, take away Nick Martinez, you got Hunter Green, Lodolo, Abbott, Singer. And then you have Burns, Louder, Williamson, Aguiar. Who am I forgetting?
For the major league roster,
Chase Petty, I guess, could be thrown in there as a major league option if he improves off of last year.
Yeah.
So, if you could have, I don't want to say you could afford to, but you could, if you needed to, like you have Hunter Green locked up under contract, why risk moving him? If you can get another solid 5 months out of Lodolo, you could get peak value out of him, and you could have almost a Luis Castillo type trade and get a team's top 3 prospect. Like, do something like that. Not trade Hunter Green for a player you might lose in 2 years.
Yeah. Carrick kind of already put me on this game, put me on this test. I already have the answers to the test because I think he probably be moved to the pen because get this AAA starting rotation or potential starting rotation of guys or just stable of horses, if you will. We got in AAA, potentially Rhett, like you said, Rhett Louder, Julian Aguiar, Carson Spires, Brandon Williamson, Chase Petty, Jose Acuna, Ryan Cardona, Brandon Littebrandt, who they just picked up, right? So and that's not even including Jose Franco as potential starters for your Louisville Bats. And that might be the most intriguing part of this beginning part of this, minor league season is what are these guys going to do and who's going to kind of come to the forefront. Obviously Brandon Williamson, Rhett Louder probably have and maybe Aguiar, but he's coming off injury, right? As just like Williamson. But those guys may have the upper chance of getting to the major league roster to get some starts, and maybe Spires and Petty as well if they're pitching well and they need some depth to come up. But it's pretty deep and it's pretty kind of crazy. And I was lamenting, I feel like a couple months ago, about our minor league pitching depth. It seems like we stocked it and we're kind of back to it, at least at the AAA level. I think Carrick also sent me the AA starting pitchers. It's a little thin. I think we skip over, and then Dayton and Daytona have a little bit better depth in terms of talent and whatnot. So hopefully these guys can turn into some major leaguers and help us out sooner than later, possibly.
Yeah, and I'll say this about Franco also. He had Tommy John in 2023, so maybe they're just being careful. And maybe this is the year that they do try to stretch him out as a starter in Louisville. But yeah, I mean, he's got the stuff to be a reliever. He's got, blazing fastball. He's got a really good slider, good changeup. Like he's got the stuff. Like he could be a mid to back end of the bullpen guy, not quite closer stuff. I think Connor Phillips might be the best closer option outside of Santillan and Pagan. Well, outside of they got Pierce Johnson now, whatever. But
Yeah.
If we were going by last year's bullpen, I think Chase. Did I say Chase Petty? Connor Phillips. Yeah, thank God. Connor Phillips. He grew on me a lot this year, but yeah, Franco, he had Tommy John. And his biggest issue is his walks. If he can get the walk count down, yeah, I think working on him with that as a starter gives him a little bit longer of a leash to get more work in, I guess. And I think that would be best for now, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Speaking of guy that's been increasing his walks and decreasing his strikeout rate, Elly De La Cruz.
Nice.
And we've been kind of going back and forth with this a couple of topics, obviously over the whole time of our show, in terms of having him potentially have an extension or not have an extension, or what it's going to look like with the arbitration years, what's going to look like because Scott Boras is his agent, and also most recently kind of been having a weird back and forth about the World Baseball Classic participation. Is he playing? Is he not? After Redsfest and after the news, I think yesterday or 2 days ago about Elly's extension, we got more clarity on kind of what Elly's tenure is going to look like as a Red, for better or for worse. But I don't know which way you want to go to the World Baseball Classic or him turning down his extension route. Like both of them, I obviously got takes and thoughts because we all do in Cincinnati, and at least the extension talks. But what are your thoughts?
Let's start with the World Baseball Classic. So the news is that he's not playing, correct? Basically due to the injury that he had half of the season last year.
Out of Redsfest, it was phrased as a mutual decision between him and the front office to not participate.
It doesn't seem mutual to me when you have him posting pictures with the Dominican flag and, declaring his willingness to play. I don't know. I guess maybe they swayed him into agreeing that it's probably best for the Reds that he doesn't play. But you would hope that if we're worried about injury in March, that is he going to be healthy going into the season if he's not playing? I think as a fan, I would feel a little bit better knowing that he could play, because I would feel that he is 100% going into the season. But then I also see the other side of the coin where you're like, he is Bob Castellini's meal ticket, where if Elly's not playing, fans aren't showing up. And if he gets a legitimate injury and he has to miss an extended period of time just because he goes and plays on the World Baseball Classic, tweaks the quad muscle or whatever, then you're like, all right, what do we do now? Because are you going to play Edwin Arroyo, or are you going to try to bring back Santiago Espinal and put Matt McClain at shortstop? Like, what's the plan there? So yeah, I'm interested to know what your take is, because I feel like I could be swayed either way.
There's lots of factors that, and because of what had happened before Redsfest, just complicates it as well, because it seems like Elly's camp, Elly's agent, Elly with the Reds were not all on the same page. That is the most clear part about all this, because the rule about the World Baseball Classic, I think, is if the player is healthy, the organization cannot deny the player from accepting an invitation to play. And we know for sure the Dominican Republic wanted him to play. Albert Pujols went on like a show and said that he wanted him to play, or something along those lines, just as evidence of that. So we know that Elly had injury or was carrying injury through August and into the end of the season and rehabbing and staying in Cincinnati instead of going to the Dominican Republic, all that stuff, right? We all know that. Now the question becomes, how healthy is he? A litmus test of that was early December when he got invited to do a celebrity home run derby and that Noel V. Marte won. So we know he's healthy at least. But Elly just went there as, just to be with his guys, to be with Noel V, whatever it was, right? And support the charity of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right, in Miami. So we at least know that he wasn't healthy then. The question now becomes is that we turn over the calendar year to 2026. He's a young guy, 24 years old. I'm not saying that means automatically he's 100% healthy and ready to go. But that is exactly what we are to interpret when they say on Reds social media, Elly De La Cruz, World Baseball Classic, Dominican Republic. That is what at least I take from it. What does that mean? It means to me that the Reds signed off on that tweet to post about it. I heard on a different podcast of somebody saying that like MLB actually was the first to post it. So maybe maybe to give some, grace to the Reds social media team. Maybe they saw that and then just was like, yeah, well, that probably means he's on the team, right?
Yeah.
But it ends up being that they delete the tweet. Now we're at Redsfest. Now Elly gets asked the question directly from fans or media. I can't remember, maybe Charlotte Goldschmidt, some one of those guys asked him directly, are you playing the World Baseball Classic? And he described it that they've reached a decision that he's not going to, and he's happy with the decision. He understands why and all the reasons and everything like that. The Edwin Diaz of it all probably is a big factor, like you said, going into intense baseball games early in March when you're maybe not 100%, but you're just coming off of, that injury in August. Might not be the best idea, right? Still, he wouldn't be the starting shortstop. I think Perdomo from Arizona would be the starting shortstop. So he'd be the backup at best, playing maybe garbage time or maybe just in rotation at best.
Yeah.
But also the factor is that his agent, Scott Boras, and what does Scott Boras do, if anything, for his clients? He gets them the most money possible based on the
biggest market possible too.
And the biggest market possible, who has the most money possible, right? And how do you do that? Well, you put up numbers and you stay healthy and you basically, do everything that you're supposed to do before you hit free agency. So there's a world that I think that the interests of the Reds organization and the interests of Scott Boras align in terms of that, which is why I think the mutual decision got made.
Yeah.
Because if my client, Elly De La Cruz, is healthy, if I'm Scott Boras, as opposed to him possibly being 80, 90% going in the World Baseball Classic and then maybe making it worse or whatever, right? Gets hit with a pitch and it hurts him, right? I think that Scott Boras would be pretty darn pissed because now he's missing time with the Reds, the team that actually pays him to play.
Yeah.
That's where I land on it, is that I think somehow – I don't think it was the Reds kind of like forcing Elly to stay because legally I don't think they can. I don't think it's the Reds not wanting the publicity of having a player in the World Baseball Classic because you really think about it, dude, this guy's 24 years old. I know he's going to be able to play in 2029 and probably 2032 in the World Baseball Classics.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be a Cincinnati Red probably in those two. So this is
2029 possibly.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe. But for sure, 2026, he is a Red. And as we know, the Reds love having to be able to market a player because that was the only reason why we were in on Schwarber, is that he'll sell tickets. And if you can put signage up, Dominican Republic 2026 World Baseball Classic champion, Elly De La Cruz, come on. Like that sells itself. I know maybe the average American fan doesn't care, but the baseball fans know that that's a big deal, right? Japan versus USA in 2023.
Yeah, when Shohei Ohtani struck out Mike Trout.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Just imagine if it's Elly De La Cruz versus Paul Skeens in the World
man.
Baseball Classic Championship.
Yeah.
Just think
or
of that.
Yamamoto versus
Or Scooball.
Elly or whatever. Yeah.
Yamamoto in Japan. Yeah, that's where I land, is that I feel bad for Elly because I think he wants to play. Even though I think business-wise, it's a business decision for both.
Yeah, and speaking of business, I guess we can go into the contract. Preface this by no official number has been leaked, other than the fact that it was more than Joey Votto's contract extension of 10 years, $225 million.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Because I have a take, but I'm interested in to hear what you have to say, because the contract was 13 years ago.
Yeah. Being a cynical Reds fan, my take was that it was 10 years and $225 million and $1.
Yeah.
Then the Reds organization can leak, because I think the way that this works is that I don't think Boris and Elly probably want out there that they had this trade or this extension talks get out to the media yet. I guess it benefits them a little bit in so much that they know that he's at least worth that much. But I think any normal, logical baseball fan knows he's going to get upwards 300, 400, possibly 600 million.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done. The number of years and whatnot obviously have to be worked out and everything. It might be a Soto type contract where it's 15, 14 years or whatever. But my first thought was that the Reds wanted to get this out to show that they're not cheap, because we obviously missed on Schwarber and were nearly outbid by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Actually, no, we bid this. Did they bid 150 or they bid 125? I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was to show that we're not the Pirates. We're gonna show that yes, we were gonna extend Elly, but you know what? We tried and we failed, and he said no. But that's why it's curious that the leak did not include any numbers. I think if it was on Boris's side, I think they would have leaked the numbers, because then having the numbers out there gives some sort of indication of what Elly's worth right now. Say it was like 10 years, 300, because I think I heard Locked On talk about that just hypothetically.
Yeah.
If it's 10 years, 300, I think Stephen Offenbaker said, if it's 10 years, 300 from the Reds, you know what that is for the Dodgers, Ricky?
It's like 9 years, 530.
Yeah, or 10 years, 600.
Yeah.
Right, like just double, just easily. So like, I think not leaking the numbers makes it seem like it's probably from the Red side, meaning that they're trying to throw out there to the media, like, dude, we tried, Boris can't work with this guy. He's got a track record of being kind of a, what he is. I think Tony Kornheiser calls him the agent from HE double hockey sticks. Or whatever, something like that. But yeah,
was it Marty Brenneman? Was it Marty Brenneman that calls him the devil?
I think so. He's not the only one. They're not.
Yeah.
The only,
Yeah.
So anyway, point being is that he does his tactics, he does his stuff, and I think if it was him that leaked it, the numbers would have probably came out, is my understanding. So where we go from here, I guess, is the question. I think it's this business as usual. We're just going to go into arbitration 2027 and see what the number is.
Yeah. So my take is I'm on Team Elly on this one, for the contract as well.
Okay.
Saying that the contract is, if Joey Votto extension exceeds the Joey Votto extension, right? So I wanted to dig into the numbers on the payroll for the Reds back when they extended him. So in 2011, I believe, they extended Votto 3 years, $38 million to avoid arbitration. And then the next year, 2012, they did another extension for the 10 years. So that made it overall 13 years for 12 years for the contract. It was like 250 whatever it was altogether, with the 38 plus the 225.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So in 2012, the Reds' payroll was $82 million. And when his contract extension kicked in, it went up to $112 million. So if we're going to do the math on that, the Reds' payroll for 2025 as soon as this decides to load here, was $119 million. So add $30 million for up to that for what it wasn't just Votto's contract, but just let's just give Elly an annual value of $30 million a year, right?
Yeah.
He's worth it. I think a lot of Reds fans, but I think a lot of people in Reds circles would agree 30 million's pretty good. But
I'd say it's pretty cheap for him right now.
yeah, I mean that's it. If you could get him on 30 million right now, I mean, for one, how do you turn that down? And then two, like maybe you do that as a short-term contract, but
Opt-outs, you mean?
yeah, like you can do that, I guess. But let's just say it's $119 million as their payroll right now. You're looking at $149 million as your payroll with just Elly being extended. And that's taking into account that McLean's going to be in second year of arbitration next year. You're going to have a lot of good players in arbitration next year. I don't think Marte is going to be in arbitration next year because he got called up so late in 23. So maybe, but like you're going to have Andrew Abbott, you're going to have Encarnacion Strand, you're going to have, I think, Benson. Friedel's going to be in his second year. Steer's going to be in his second year. Like there's a lot of really good key players for this team. It's going to be in arbitration next year. You're going to have to choose to extend somebody if they agree to it. But I guess getting back to the comparing it to Votto, like that was 13 years ago, and normal, like your everyday, I don't want to say star player, but key free agent players are getting contracts like Votto got. So like Matt McLean could theoretically get a contract close to a Votto contract in a big market. Not based off of last year, but if let's just say Matt McLean's 2023 year was a contract year, like he probably gets an 8-year, $140 million contract, something like that. Who knows? Baseball's weird and people spend a lot of money, but I don't like they had to throw out Votto because that's like the hook that they're like, hey, we did it before. He just didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said it's probably most likely. I don't know what percentage point on it. The leak was from the Reds. And you were right about Noelve. He is arbitration eligible in 2028. So that kind of like there with all the guys that are eligible now, like Williamson missed it this year, unluckily. But like then you got, again, McLean, Elly, Williamson, all those guys are going to be in 2027. And we'll see what baseball looks like then. But that would be kind of crazy. And thank goodness Mariposa puts out there that only other Boris client in this organization is Santillan, which is an interesting pick for Boris, but it is what it is. That's for our organization is thankfully the only guy.
To be fair, Santillan coming up was I think he was a decent prospect as a closer. So I think we kind of dodged a bullet that the closer role hasn't really stuck for him. We got lucky getting Pagan, I guess.
But even so, Edwin Diaz went to the Dodgers for a record $69 million.
Yeah,
like I was like that's pennies in baseball for, I guess. And I mean, I don't know.
In big markets.
What I mean by it's curious because Boris has got a client that isn't necessarily making billions of dollars potentially in the future, like Elly or whoever. But
yeah. And I have some quotes too. Nick Kroll. When they asked him about the extension, he said, we made an offer in the spring that would have made him the highest paid Red ever. That's not where he is, and you respect that. It's his career. You got to keep going and keep working on what you can do today. So it just feels like they're just giving up on. Like they offered the contract, he declined. Well, we're not going to offer anymore. So
yeah,
and then you got Elly, and all he said was, "I'll let my agent take care of all that."
Well, we kind of know that, but anyway, It sounds like Carrick said that Santillan came up as a starter, which that's where the money is for.
Yeah, and he had Tommy John, I think, right?
2022 really
yeah.
injured, right? I believe when he was coming up or what have you. Yeah. So
yeah,
I guess it makes more sense to having Boris decline at that point. But and yeah, it's becoming more and more evident, Carrick, that it was not going to extend him. And but that's the curious point of all this conversation is that the Reds leaking out there that they tried. Like I don't know if that gets them any brownie points.
Yeah,
From the fans, maybe some, but like I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, Ricky, but for me, it's kind of like, yeah, we know Boris wasn't going to accept a contract because, as we've talked about in this show, he goes down to the wire almost on all of his big, like Schnell and whomever else go down all the way to free agency because, tomorrow's price is going to be a lot more expensive than today's price. And I think the Reds, unfortunately, have a generational shortstop talent that has a client or has a agent that won't let us lock him up with some sort of Acuna deal. That's basically what it is. We probably should be trying to lock up Noel Marte probably soon because his he doesn't have the same agency and whatnot. So if he ends up being the Acuna outfielder that we need to do that sooner than later. Is all I'm saying. But
yeah, I'm on board the Marte extension. I know there's a lot of people. I think Bryce Spalding's one of them where he's higher on certain players and he's lower on certain players. And I think he said he was higher on Stevenson and lower on Marte. Like Marte in his, I guess, basically full season of work across going into his third season. He's had 2 really good parts with 1 bad part. So I think there's a body of work for the good that kind of outweighs the bad because I think we kind of know why it was bad.
yeah.
And I think obviously the failed PED test wrecked him mentally. And we saw, everything go wrong in 2024 for him. And in 2025, when he started the year out in AAA, goes down and he goes to work and he hit, he didn't field, but he hit, and I think he got a case of the yips at third base, and he showed a lot to me anyway that he was willing to do whatever it takes to stay at the major league level. He didn't want to be your, I can hit major league pitching, but I can't find a position to play because I'm only a third baseman or, originally shortstop, but an infielder, that's all I'm going to do. And, if I don't make it there, I guess I'll just be your off the bench bat or whatever. But I feel like him showing a willingness to learn right field. He played 2 games in center field. That showed a lot because when he moved to right field, it's like everything just clicked and he hit the ball better than he ever has. So I'm all for a Marte extension. If McLean comes out and he becomes, close to a league average hitter again or exceeds it again, I think you got to throw a decent number at him as well. But I think the hype on the CES train is down. I don't think that he's going to have to do a lot this year to kind of build back that faith from me.
Yeah.
And then you got like Will Benson. Like is he going to play every day? If he does and he does well, you're going to have to make a decision on extensions for him because the time's running out on the rookie scale deals for him too. But yeah, as far as pitchers go, I see Carrick put a comment in there too about who would you extend. Like I would love to extend Abbott, but I think he's kind of like at peak value right now, coming off an All-Star year. I think we're gonna have a really hard time extending any pitchers. I think we're gonna see turnover for pitchers like crazy, which sucks because we saw it earlier in the decade. You had Castillo and Trevor Bauer, was it Molly, Tyler Molly, Sonny Gray. Like, I think we're gonna hit that phase again, and we're gonna have to reload. It's because you're gonna have to. We got so lucky extending Hunter Green, which is why it kills me that they're willing to move on from him, because like you're not gonna get that deal again, and he's exceeding expectations every season.
Yeah. I almost have the kind of opposite opinion on that. I think a part of the Reds org, even though I threw out Marte earlier because I don't know, he's probably the guy out of the lineup right now that's going to definitely exceed his 2025 numbers. Like I think that's almost guaranteed because he's got a position and he's got consistency there, and even though he's learning it, he's still, I think, confident. Obviously, after that great catch and whatnot, I think he's going to come into the year hugely confident. And if he's going to be batting ahead of Elly, he's going to probably see a lot more strikes in the zone than Elly will. That being said, I think part of the Reds organization is kind of scared to extend the wrong hitter. Because if they go and get like McLean extension, let's say tomorrow, and it's whatever, 3, 4, 5 years to buy out the rest of his ARB, and then it's like 70, 80, 90 million, and then he stinks for the next 3 or 4 years, then they're just going to be like, why'd we do that? Right. I think it might be most likely, even though he's coming off the high year, which would probably, get him more annual average value than Hunter at this point, Abbott might be the guy to do it. The extension. And I think it would be smart business because, sure, you can do the arbitration thing with him every single year and maybe save some money that way. But like if he's the real deal and you really believe in him, give him that money now and see, right? Yeah, and then maybe you have him another extra 1 or 2 years of control, like you have with Hunter past his arbitration years. Like I don't know. I think that and the ballpark you can't get free agents. We talk about this all the time. You're not gonna get free agent pitching, so you might as well draft and develop, and then maybe sign them when you can, right? Like I don't know, Chase Burns. Get Chase Burns an extension. Maybe he's willing to accept that offer sooner than later when he gets a whole year under his belt and you can see what a whole year of Chase Burns looks like. And then his value goes up. I don't know, like something like that. Well, the Dolo one that Carrick's thrown out there, I don't know. I think he's a trade piece. I know we've talked about this, and I know we're not trying to malign him because I think he'll have a really good season again. It'll be how healthy of a season, I guess, is kind of the thing with Lodolo all the time. But if he's going to go out there and be that second ace behind Hunter like he was at the beginning of the year, his value might not be any bigger to trade in 2026. Yeah. And I don't know. I guess I'm not trying to like trade away all our guys, but I would rather it be him than Hunter, I guess. I'd rather be him than Abbott, right? I don't, that's just the quick thought I have, because if you're going to draft and develop these pitchers, why not try to get in early and get these extensions like the Atlanta Braves do with a lot of their guys, so that you can see these guys for more than just the 6 years of control.
Yeah, and I like this comment too, because says that he seems to like it here and represents the team well off the field, and his girlfriend is a news anchor in the city, so I think there's a lot of incentive to keep him here. And I think with Abbott's stuff, he doesn't have the 100-mile-per-hour fastball, the electric pitch mix or whatever. He's not Tarek Skubal, on the mound, but maybe you could get him for like a 7-year, $120 million or something like that, and just spread it out, defer it, whatever you got to do, because pitchers are expensive, and that's why I keep harping on the Hunter Green extension. Like, we're just never going to see that. I don't think any other team can get that lucky, getting a Hunter Green caliber pitcher for that contract. No,
not in 2026 or any time after. That's for sure. That's for sure. Any other thoughts about Elly and extension talks and anything of that nature?
I guess just start the countdown to when we start hearing Elly trade rumors, because it's not going to be this year and it's probably not going to be next year. But I think if you're going to get absolute peak value for him, you're looking at 2028, because you'd rather give somebody up with an extra year of team control to get absolute value.
Yeah.
Unless some team comes out, I mean, even if they said tomorrow, let's just say, I don't know. Let's just say the Padres showed up and said, we'll trade you. Their farm system's weak because they kind of unloaded this year, but let's just say they had some prospects. Let's just say they had 3 top 100 prospects and throw in Fernando Tatis Jr.
Okay.
I think you would take that. Like, as much as it pains you to say it, I don't want to give up Elly. I want to make that perfectly clear. I would love for Elly to be a Red forever and retire 44 as Elly De La Cruz. But I just think there's going to have to be discussions eventually that's going to be very painful for Reds fans to hear.
Quick question. Is Arb's going to happen in this time next year? What is his projected value? What are the Reds going to offer, and what do you think he's going to want?
So I think first year Arbs are really strange. What was Steers? His was like 4.5.
Yeah.
Frito was like 4 projected.
Yeah.
I think I think we're looking at like 8 first year. Maybe close to 10, like 8.5 or 9.
Yeah, I was thinking because he's a Boris client, he's going to ask for 15.
Oh yeah, like I think first year ARB goes to actual arbitration. I don't think they're going to agree to a term.
No, which again is another little caveat that could possibly sour the relationship between the organization and him and his agent, obviously, because they're going to fight it out in arbitration hearing, which hopefully, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Tyler Stevenson go to ARB over $200,000.
That's going to happen. I mean, beginning of next month, later this month. So yeah, it hasn't happened yet. There's gonna be some reporting around that. We'll see.
Yeah, and Ashcraft was a couple $100,000. It was like both players were less than $1 million. I think it was less than $750,000.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just trying to fight for the extra money, see what they can get. Like you said, the bet for them is not that large. It's not Tarek Skubal difference, right? So like,
yeah.
If they lose out on 20,000 or 200,000, I guess they don't have to be so upset at the front office. But I don't know. Well, Carrick's got to take. I doubt that they're going to go to arbitration. They think they'll settle. Oh, so they're just going to give him the $15 million, whatever Boris says. I don't know if I want to live in a world that we give Boris whatever he wants.
I think he might be talking about Stevenson. I'm not sure on that one.
Oh, what? I thought that they're going.
Well, I think that they can still agree to a contract, I think, up until their date.
Okay. Well, yeah, I imagine that they'll work it out with.
Yeah, because they got numbers. Like those numbers are public now, and it was like 200,000. It seemed like a very hilarious number to go to ARB over.
Tyler Stevenson and his representation disagree. Oh, we talk about Stevenson. Okay, yeah. Let's not give Boris the money he wants.
Yeah.
Not a world.
Yeah, we're going to give Elly 1.3 first year.
Oh my God. I can't wait to see that reporting. We'll cover it here for sure. I don't know what direction you want to go here. I really wanted to get to international free agent signings.
Yeah.
If you want to go that route. That happened January 15th last week, about almost a week ago. That was a big deal because the Reds were projected to sign Angel Nunez. He's Venezuelan, right?
Yes, Dominican.
And they signed him, the 6th overall prospect in the international free agent signing period. Awesome, looks great. Noelvi Marte even visited him, I think, on his signing day, which is a nice little show of solidarity with international players and whatnot. And then they signed a bunch of other guys. I think Pacheco, a catcher. Oh man, I just had your article just here a second ago. But yeah, it seemed like a pretty nice overall class that the Reds end up getting. The Pacheco and Nunez being the top 50 of international free agents, which is awesome to see because we'll see where they slot into the system right away. Because I had a question to Carrick about that, if he's going to get top 30 before even playing a single game for the Cincinnati Redlegs organization. But yeah, what were your takeaways from the international free agent signing period?
Yeah, that's the one place that we do try to spend above market, I guess. When, being the I guess how do they classify it? Market size, you get more money, not more money, but more pool allotment to spend. And they usually spend close to all of it. Like they go out. He signed for $3.5 million, I think. 3 million, yeah.
Yeah, 3 mil.
I like Nunez a lot. He projects center field long term, very fast. His like a very good walk to strikeout ratio is 6-3.
Yeah,
which that's incredible. And when he played in the under 15 World Cup, he hit 350 with 11 RBIs in 8 games. Like that's good. He seems to be a really good defensive player that has a really good bat also. And he's going to be 17 the entire year. So that benefits the Reds in a way too, because they could afford to give him an extra year in the DSL if he needs it. Pacheco, he funny when I was writing this out, I saw one of the evaluators described him as a beast, which I'm thinking like Alfredo Duno.
Yeah. Venezuelan, isn't he a Venezuelan catcher as well? Right?
Yes, he is. He's got they said he's got a really good line drive swing that has some loft, which
oh yeah, we talked about that.
yeah. I think I texted you immediately.
Yeah.
He only signed for $800,000, and he ran a 6.7 60-yard dash
as a catcher.
A catcher.
Okay.
So I think I could see positional movement from him just based on his athleticism. You could see a Bryce Harper type move, not comparing him to Bryce Harper, but Bryce Harper came out as a catcher, moved to the outfield, moved to first base as a necessity. I think he wants to go back to the outfield, but I think you could see an outfielder, corner outfielder out of him. He's got a good bat. I could see that too. And then one of the under the radar guys that I picked out, Alexander Cuello out of the Dominican Republic, 5'10", 175 pounds. They have him as an excellent offensive prospect, which that was enticing. I think they see him more as a corner infielder, like third base, not quite first base type, but like second base, third base, not quite shortstop. And a good left-handed bat. He learned from what they've said that he's learned to pull pitches that need to be pulled, and that has resulted in more power. And he's got really good speed. They said he can even learn the outfield with his athleticism. So lots of good talent. The Reds seem to, in the last 6 years or so, have really put an emphasis on international scouting. I think that's where their bread and butter is. The MLB draft, I think they just kind of go shortstop, pitcher, and that's just kind of what they target. They had the 2 outfielders in back-to-back drafts. What was it? Hendrick and then Jay Allen, and then they went corner infield with Stewart and Collier in the same draft. But then it's been shortstop, pitcher, shortstop, pitcher, shortstop. Like that's just what they do. So I like their class a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I think organizationally, we have obviously talked about their drafts, philosophy. They've got started pitchers that could go through the system quickly, like a Rhett Lauder, like a Chase Burns and whatnot. So and then also getting shortstops. Obviously, they're the most athletic and could play other positions as well, because we know that like Marte came up as a shortstop as well. I do like their international free agent approach as well. The last couple of years, really successful, right? Like Duno was 2023, 2024 is escaping me, but then 2025 was our guy Lantigua, right? Or Alcantara, I forget the.
So 23 was it? 23 was Duno.
Pretty sure
24 was Adolfo Sanchez.
that's it.
25 was
I looked at it earlier today.
Libertz Aponte.
That's it. Okay. But either way, they've been really successful in this area, and Angel Nunez has gotten a lot of plaudits as well. And Pablo Nunez is also a center fielder, kind of the same build from Venezuela as well, right? And we don't know if they're related or not, but I got that thought when they were looking at Angel Nunez, and like a guy that covers the minor league said that he's a no doubt center field prospect with a fluid mover plus action in the outfield and allows average speed to play up. He has a compact swing with solid bat speed for his size, and he called it a medium frame, and that kind of got me thinking about our guy Pablo Nunez out there in Australia. So like, and Carrick says he's already probably going to slot into 15-20 range in the top 30 prospects and whatnot. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that, and that he's got plus speed with a good arm. They say, this guy Juicy Jensen, a guy that Carrick sent me, said that he could top out in 50 stolen bases as his peak and kind of be an elite speedster out there. But I like that pick. I like that that signing. I think they do well to a lot, like you said, in the right areas, and hopefully we'll be hearing a lot more about Angel Nunez. Hopefully he spent just the 1 year in DSL. We'll be covering that as well to make sure and keep tabs on that throughout the season coming up in 2026.
Going back a little bit, so in the 2024 signing class, you had Adolfo Sanchez, Hervin Murillo, Starlin Torres. A lot of these guys have been really good performers in the DSL. Diorlin Zambrano, Narek Waterford, Pablo Nunez, Nabel Mariano, Jacet Martinez. Like 2024 was a really good class. 2025, not as deep, but as far as like performers go, but it was headlined by Libertz Aponte, Isaac Garcia. Wanderlei de la Cruz had a really good season. No relation to Elly, by the way.
Yeah.
Starlin Alberto, a right-handed pitcher. I believe Iker Radona signed post day one, I guess, because he signed out of Mexico, and he had a DSL All-Star year. He had an ERA, sub-1 ERA. And then Henry Torres was the catcher that they signed last year. I think he was a top 50 prospect, I think, as well. But yeah, I mean, they've been really good picking out players. 2023, that's what I was looking for. You had Alfredo Duno, Alfredo Alcantara, and as far as players that have stuck, those are the only two that I recognize. Rafael Torres, I guess he was in Daytona for a bit last year, I think. So yeah, I mean they've put an emphasis on international signings, and they've done a really good job at it over the last 3 years at least. And then obviously the big one was Elly de la Cruz in 2018.
Yeah, but yeah, that's him. And he was super underrated. I believe. I think you were talking about Rafael Torres.
Yes.
Looks like a 2023 signing. is in now single A affiliate Daytona. But yeah, shortstop there. So yeah, good call. Then another Venezuelan. It seems like the Reds also
They've been heavy in Venezuela.
they have some strong scouting there going on in Venezuela. Which shout out to Venezuela having some pretty decent baseball players that have come up through the system, whether the Reds or in Major League Baseball as well. So I believe, and there hasn't been really an update, but I believe all those players. I know that Hervin Murillo came over to the States for like a preseason camp, but hopefully all the other Venezuelan players are safe and will be there in spring training and ready to go, whether they're playing in ACL or Daytona or wherever. So
You want to know another 2023 signing?
for the international free agent signing for Reds or somewhere else?
Yeah, for the Reds.
Who's it?
Sheng Lin.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. I think this, and not just to get random, but this free agent signing, I think, had the first Russian international free agent signing.
Nice.
26. So
Yeah.
that was kind of random because I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know they played baseball there. Like,
they play baseball with icicles and snowballs.
I guess I can't imagine what their season looks like. It's probably shorter than the ACL. It's probably like a month long because that's probably the only time they got, unless he plays overseas somewhere. Maybe he goes to Australia and plays or something like that, or Japan or wherever. But that's a pretty good class, I feel, for the Reds, and hopefully it proves out to be guys that get into our system and start working right away. Any other thoughts on international free agent signings?
No, it's just, I think it's one of our favorite times of the year.
Yeah, I mean, our guy Ethan had like a countdown clock. It's really I had to put in my calendar to make sure I didn't miss it as well because there were some interesting signings from some accounts that I was looking at that looked like were from like the last year signing period, or I don't know. There's sometimes in the Caribbean and South America, there's some not so. You can't verify the reporting, I guess, is to put it bluntly. It's difficult to know for sure.
And I think they have until a certain time this year to turn 16, right, to sign. Because there was some signings last year. There was, I forgot, blanking on his name, Jordan from France.
Oh, yeah.
Owanyu, I think is how you say his name.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out him. He follows us on Instagram. He's been very active on there.
Yeah.
Who else? They've had some late, like Sheng Lin signed in like June or July.
Yeah. The period's still open, or the signing period is still open. It's just the big guys. I think I was listening to a podcast of MLB Pipeline or one of those that all top 50 ranked international free agent prospects were signed on like the first day. So like,
jeez,
there may be some that fall through the crack, like you said. Maybe it's the age requirement, or maybe just being under scouted. You know what I mean? It could be something along those lines where they're not looking to France, to Jordan Owanyu for necessarily all 30 teams.
So we got some trade rumors going on right now in the division.
Oh, really?
We've got the Mets and the Brewers discussing a trade for Freddie Peralta.
Yeah, they said Freddie Peralta could even go to the Dodgers, but that would.
The Dodgers, they're trying to go 162-0.
Well, they seemed like they were gonna. They think the betting line last year was like over under 104 wins, and they were way under. So like, I don't know. I think they're just
they had a lot of injuries too.
Yeah, they're just building a Death Star of depth that will withstand even the injuries. And
I mean, yeah, when you have Game 7 and you you have Blake Snell and then Yamamoto come in the same game, like unreal.
Not to transition, but Carrick puts up a good question. Oops, I took it off, Ricky. Sorry. Does your guy Sheng Lin, is his days as a hitter over? And he's in Daytona now, right? Like he's going to be starting the year in Daytona, I believe.
So, from what I understood, they wanted his first year in the States to be primarily focused on hitting, and then his second year, which was this past year, to be solely focused on pitching for the most part. He did hit a couple times, but he didn't. I don't believe he hit as much as he did the year prior.
In the ACL. Yeah, he hit a lot more in the ACL, I believe, than he did at Daytona. But he was
so when they brought him up to Daytona, they wanted him to focus primarily on pitching.
Mhm.
So in 2025, he had 87 at bats, and he pitched in 15 games. Let's see. In 24, he had 172 at bats for the ACL. He's been in the ACL for this was his third year. I think they're gonna lean into this two-way player with him, because I think he's got. He's not going to be what, when people think two-way player, they're going to think Shohei Ohtani and think he's going to hit 50 home runs.
Yeah.
But I think he could be what the Reds want and be a nice contact hitter who can run into one.
Yeah.
And he can steal some bases, and he can go out every fifth day and give you 5 innings. You know, like if he can give you that, that's a successful two-way player. But I don't think they're done. I think if he struggles this year, like if he goes into Daytona and hits like sub 200, like I think they're done. But if he goes out and hits like 230, you know, he had 308 in 2024, and he was focused only on hitting in 2024. He had an 837 OPS. Like that's pretty good. So I think he was just focused on pitching. I think hitting took a back seat, and I don't think they were worried about what he did. And I think he's got another year or two leash.
I think based on what we know about Daytona and the makeup of the lineup, it might be hard for him to get at bats. We got like Tyson Lewis. We got still Kien Vu and like a bunch of guys that got promoted from, ACL. And
they're going to have decisions to make with that roster, because there's going to be a lot of talent between the ACL and Chattanooga, really.
I think that basically he'll get his at-bats once some guys get promoted to Dayton or movement.
Maybe he goes to Dayton. I mean, as a hitter, I think
I don't know if we can do it both. That's the thing. I wouldn't.
So what you do is you put him in Dayton as a hitter, and you put him in Daytona as a pitcher.
I'm sure that's legal. I'm sure.
Yeah, you put him on a flight every day, and just
sure. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Now we'll see. Like you said, there's gonna be a lot of decisions to be made in terms of signing players in March or thereabouts, because there's a bunch of talent. Like I like to call it the class of 2027, with Duno kind of leading that charge with those guys. Even guys that are a little bit ahead of schedule, like McChrystal's kind of a part of that because he's got promoted ahead of Duno into Dayton. But there's some guys that could shine this year and move ahead of schedule, just like the South Stew can rise in front and kind of get ahead of the class. So we'll see. But I think a lot of the talent in that Daytona ACL area, we got to find at-bats, got to find opportunities for the guys to hopefully excel. And then the ones that rise can hopefully keep getting promoted through the system.
Yeah, so one last thing I want to talk about on that is the shortstop talent that we have that's going to be there. You got Tyson Lewis, you got Steele Hall, Hansel Jimenez, Shingen Lin can play shortstop. I guess I wouldn't be shocked. I know Tyson Lewis still needs work, but the way he hits the ball, I wouldn't be shocked if he starts out in Dayton just to make room for other guys. But then again, I think there's a really high possibility that we see Jimenez and the other two that went to Australia, and Nunez and Murillo.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them skipping the ACL, but then I think they want them in the ACL to get comfortable being in the state as well, just to get there. But the way they've performed, especially Pablo Nunez, I could see him starting out in the ACL and skipping A ball. Like he could go to to high A or even double A just based off the talent that he's played in Australia. Like he's one of the better hitters in that league, and I think you could compare it to a double A league. I think. I mean, there's older players like I don't know. There's just a lot of players, especially good, highly ranked prospects and players that we think should be highly ranked prospects on that in that area of
For sure, yeah, and that was the one observation I forgot to put on air because I told you this, but like Tyson Lewis is just as tall and looked not necessarily maybe as massive as Alfredo Janot, but pretty close. So like I wouldn't be surprised that Tyson Lewis, if he starts out hot, could get promoted quickly. I think Carrick's chiming in that Kian Vu, our guy Kian Vu, might go to Dayton. Yeah, it might be. I wouldn't be surprised at that. Our
Mason Neville.
Yeah, our outfield depth is not necessarily the greatest, so that moving a guy like Kian Vu or Mason Neville through the system in the outfield could be it. But yeah, there's a lot, like a lot of talent. Like I think Victor Acosta is the shortstop. I think in Dayton with Ricky Cabrera being there as well. So like there may not be positions to move guys into Dayton unless you're right. Unless there's this chain effect of just like getting up to Chattanooga, which moves guys up to Dayton, which moves guys from Dayton to from Daytona to Dayton. So
yeah,
lots of things, and we're going to cover it here for sure because we're going to be out there in Arizona at the beginning of March and be able to see hopefully these guys up close and personal and see who's performing and whatnot. But there was that weird offhand comment by Tito. It wasn't weird, I guess. It makes sense if you're talking about baseball logic. Tito was talking about spring training or got asked about spring training. He said, yeah, guys that hit 300 and maybe ripping the cover off the ball in Arizona, those guys, you can't just automatically just say, hey, yeah, you're going to get on this roster spot X, Y, Z, whatever it ends up being, right? Because what ends up happening if they do that and they struggle and they lose all their confidence, it could mess them up. They got to do the fundamentals right. They got to do the things right that the managers are asking them to do, and they got to have the right stuff and mentality, I think, to be ready to play, there at whatever level they put these guys. So, just because he is having maybe a fantastic spring training and, Tyson Lewis stays in Daytona or Kian Vu, same thing. There may be reasons that we don't know as fans that are watching is why they're making these decisions. So, but we'll be there in person at least to check it out and report to you and give you some information along the lines and what's going on in the Cactus League. It'll be a good time, and that's coming sooner than later, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. So that trade has been announced.
Oh, it's official?
Yeah. So the Brewers acquired MLB's number 30 prospect Jet Williams and pitcher Brandon Sproat in exchange for Freddie Peralta and Tobias Myers.
So they didn't get like Jonah Tong because Jonah Tong had some proposed, but he made his major league debut, so he's like pretty right. That's the name, Jonah Tong for the Mets.
Yeah. So didn't Brandon Sproat pitch against the Reds and didn't we get him or something? I can't remember. Or he looked really good against us. I can't remember which one it was. So that worries me.
All right, I'm muted. I had to cough. It sounds familiar. I know that there had been a lot of trade talks. It may have just been all hypothetical nonsense that Jonah Tong could be in a trade package. I don't know much about Sproat. So Carrick says it's a pretty good return. And then also Carlos Sanchez playing shortstop. Sorry, I saw Victor Acosta on there at the lineup or on the sheet, so I thought he might have been a guy that got some playing time. But like I said, a lot of decisions. Probably be a whole episode that we're gonna have to cover, Ricky. Like we said, per affiliate.
Yeah.
DSL episode, ACL episode, which may come out later because they don't start their season until like May. Daytona, Dayton, Chattanooga, Louisville. So
yeah,
check that out in the near future.
Yeah, I guess one thing I guess we can kind of kind of end on, I guess, is there are two things.
Yeah.
Today is the anniversary of the Reds hiring Marty Brennaman to be the play-by-play radio announcer alongside Joe Nuxall. Think about the Reds. Like, they had Al Michaels as their broadcaster, and then they
For
move
1
on to
year, I
Marty
think.
Brennaman. Yeah. And they move on and they get Marty Brennaman for the next 46 years. You know, he witnesses the greatest, I'm going to say it, the greatest team as far as like complete lineup in modern baseball history. There you can make the argument with the 27 Yankees, but I
post integration. Like, we're talking about like baseball can be played by everybody.
Yes. He got that. He called Hank Aaron's record-breaking home run. They played against the Braves at that time.
Yep.
He called Pete Rose's record-breaking hit, 41-92. He called the 1990 World Series. Jay Bruce clinch miss. I mean, the list goes on of all the incredible moments he's got to not only call, but that this franchise has had over the last 46 years. You know, it's a shame that towards the end of his career we couldn't give him something more special to go out on, other than a Cy Young winner the year after he retires. But then again, like he just the way he told a story, you felt like you were sitting in the booth next to him watching a baseball game with him, and he could paint a picture like nobody else could. You could see the play if you were driving in your car or sitting on your back porch. He had a way with words. And then 2 days ago, or I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago, it was the owners MLB approved Bob Castellini 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, 20 years ago, was when he formally was introduced as owner of the Reds. And, kind of looking back, like, yeah, obviously Marge shot, like, she got a World Series championship in 1990. But, as much as we dog on Castellini, and we both can agree we're not pro Castellini at all.
Yeah.
I'll give him credit. He's had to navigate the largest shift in, I guess, financial history of baseball over the last 20 years. You go from, I think I had it in my article about it, where you had, I think it was 2 teams when he took over in 2006, had a payroll of over $200 million. I think it was the Yankees and why am I drawing a blank? But today, you got 3 teams over $300 million. I think there's like 9 teams over $200 million. And then there's only like 6 teams with less than 100. And the Reds were in the middle of the pack with sub $100 million payrolls for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Castellini defender. I wish they would use the minority owners more to get more out of what they could get. But, I don't think from what I understand from a lot of other fan bases in baseball, the Cleveland Guardians have a very rich owner, and he's very cheap, and he doesn't spend any money either. So just because you're wealthy doesn't mean you're going to spend money. I think it's just to give Bob credit. I will say this, for being the poorest owner in baseball, to field a somewhat league average payroll. I can give him that. We want more, but I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah, for sure. And also, unfortunately, he's in the era of where basically 2006 begins the descent of baseball not being one of the top sports in NFL completely taking the mantle, and baseball's kind of fallen off for various reasons. Obviously post steroid, maybe the steroid stuff, maybe the TV contract failure stuff. Like a lot of things happened, and now NFL's kind of top dog, and unfortunately, he's got to still own this team unless he's got some sort of inclinations to sell it. But then we've seen other organizations try to sell, and they're not getting the valuations they want. That's a whole other business thing. But yeah, it is kind of at least a little bit commendable, because I think we've talked about it a lot on the show that it seems like it's all Bob's money, and Krall has to just balance the budget of Krall's money, or of Castellini's money. That basically, Castellini says, hey, here's the money that's available. We don't know how involved the minority owners are, how much they're putting in, or if he's asking for any fundraising calls. But if it is all on Bob, it makes sense why he's trying to just balance the budget and make whatever he can. He's in a tough situation because the market size is not getting that any bigger, and we're not necessarily getting great TV contracts to supplement that payroll, and MLB. This is the job of the commissioner to make this league sustainable. We'll see what happens. I thought 2023 was a good year in turning the game into something much more watchable and looks like baseball, as opposed to having 6 infielders on one side of the field to catch the ball. So like little strides, maybe needs more. And, obviously, like I said, the NFL is top dog, so it's difficult to kind of unseat them. But it's been an interesting 20 years, and obviously that letter to the fans circulates every so often, and that kind of is another thing that gets thrown in the Castellini's face, and all the promises he made.
To be fair, 2012 had the Grand Slam not happened, I think that was their year. I do. I think 2012 was their year. It's what they did after that kind of ruined everything. They went on that horrendous run of not trading players when they should have. But I have a couple quotes from his introductory press conference. He goes, "As we build our organization, we'll likely do some other things differently once we get our sleeves rolled up. I'll be here every day. I will be hands-on. That's a promise. I intend to work out of the Reds offices on a daily basis until I have an insider's understanding of how we work." And then he made the promise. He said, "I want to make the promise to Reds fans wherever you are. I promise from one fan to another, we will bring championship baseball to Cincinnati." And, define championship because he won 2 National League Central championships. And when was the last time they won an NL Central title before that? Because prior to him coming along, that they had lost 5 straight sub 500 seasons going back to 2000. I think they were 82 and 80, I think, in 2000. And then they just fell off a cliff. And part of that was the Griffey trade not working out the way we had hoped. And 1999 happened, and you make the jump, you go get Griffey. You think everything's just going to take off, and then it doesn't. But he comes in 2006. They go out and I think they improved their record by about 7 games over the last season. They were close to 500. And then they had a couple bad years, but they were developing players. They had Votto come up, Homer Bailey came up, Jay Bruce came up, Johnny Cueto was signed, and I think he was an international free agent, right? Or was he acquired in a trade? I can't remember. But 2010 happened, and that's something that we had never really got to witness. As far as me being a fan, I was a senior in high school in 2010, and I had never really got to see much winning baseball that I could remember. And then 2012 happens, you go out and you almost win 100 games, and you had some promising players. Votto gets extended. You think, man, we're doing this. We're a legit team. We're a real franchise. And then injuries happen, and you extend the wrong pitcher. I think we can all agree that Cueto should have been the one that got the extension and not Homer Bailey. And You hang on to Todd Frazier a little too long. You hang on, Billy Hamilton doesn't get on first base. You can't steal first. I don't know, and then to give Nick Kroll credit, when he gets promoted the president of baseball ops in 2019, he gets the same year David Bell comes in, Nick Kroll gets promoted to his general manager position. They go out and they get Trevor Bauer. They go out and I think they got Sonny Gray the year before. Luis Castillo was really starting to develop. So in my tangent, I don't think the Castellini era is as bad as we think it is, although it's not great.
Yeah, it's the adage in baseball is that about every 15 years is kind of the cycle, because there's 15 teams in each side of the league, AL, NL, and we're coming about 15 years from that 2010 to 2014 period. So all I'm saying is that the sins can be forgiven. Right, the sins can be forgiven of all the missteps that happened before or between the time from 2014 to now, if you take advantage of the time you have now, because you got in last year with a bit of luck from the Marlins. Don't let it be luck anymore. Let it be the baseball team has to be a winning product. You got the players. Just go out and do it. I understand you got to balance the budget, but we got to stop that stuff. You don't need to say it. It just seems overkill to.
Hey, you don't have to
desperate
to announce. Yeah, you can just
get out there, spend smartly, and then figure out whatever is going to happen is going to happen, and hopefully that means winning baseball and getting maybe not an NL Central crown, but in the playoffs, because all you got to do is get in to win it. Because an 84 win Arizona, Diamondbacks team got to the World Series. They didn't win it, unfortunately, but if an 85 to 90 win Reds team can get in there and get a couple playoff wins, a couple series wins, that's all you got to do. It's a random sport that 100 win teams lose in the first round of the playoffs sometimes. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I saw this and I got scared for a minute thinking that it was breaking news.
But Zaire Hope is a big time prospect that
the
Dodgers have, and
I just don't want to help out the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you could probably get 3 top 100 prospects for him. I would hope you could get more than what you got for Luis Castillo, and we got the Mariners number 1 and 2 prospect and 2 top 20 prospects, I think.
Yeah. Well, sounds good. Speaking of prospects, I had just a couple notes. David Lodore of Caminanes de Barranquilla had a championship run, and they won the championship in the Colombian League real recently. So shout out to him, David. Hector Rodriguez, and actually Carrick updated us. He's going to be playing in the Winter Dominican League Championships, and so far he's 1 for 2 with a double so far tonight. They start their 7-game series against the Toros del Este, which is unfortunately, I think, the team that Jamer Candelario plays for. So he's on the other side of the Winter Dominican League Championships. And what's his name? Arroyo's team in the Puerto Rico League, Cangrejeros de Santurce. They won their championship in Puerto Rico just recently. So shout out to all those guys in the minors having a good season. I don't believe the playoffs for what's it called? The ABL has started yet. I got to check that out. I believe that our guys are still down there. Hopefully they'll wrap that up before spring training kind of starts. But yeah, shout out to all those guys getting some championships. I guess maybe that's what our guy Bob Castellini was talking about when he's talking about bringing championships to the city. And don't forget the Ohio Cup, Ricky.
Hey, we got it.
Hang the banner.
Hang the banner.
I didn't see the banner of the. I didn't see the whole Ohio Cup at Redsfest. To be honest with you, I thought that would be the perfect place to. I wanted. I should. If they had that, I would have taken a picture next to it.
That would have been awesome.
They should have it, right? It's kind of weird that they didn't put it on display. There was no banner for Elly playing all 162. So
Should have brought your own. We should make one and just bring it places.
I think I made that joke on Twitter that I'd bring it since it's not up there already. But yeah, any hot takes or anything got get off your chest at this point? I think we're winding down, and there were some topics we didn't get to, but we'll get to in the next episode. And
yeah. We'll talk about that Sunday. Talk about the bullpen, and we could talk a little bit more about the Lux trade too. Just we kind of touched on it, but it kind of goes into the bullpen. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a hot take because I don't think it's going to happen, but it is kind of concerning with the Tyler Stevenson stuff going on. Like, I almost feel like you have to trade him, but you're sacrificing so much trading him. I mean, you're not going to get peak value. This is the final year of his contract, unless you can sign him to a 2-year contract and then trade him. But if you're going to sign him to a 2-year contract, keep him. So I don't know.
I've got a couple takes, and we already said it both. I'm stealing Carrick's take. ACL should be longer than 50 games or whatever it was, and move the World Baseball Classic to November, and then we won't have to have this nonsense of should he play, should he go to spring training. You know what I mean? A lot of players obviously go off to their Dominican League in November, and Colombian League and Puerto Rican League and whatnot, but like. Those guys, they fly in and out. I feel like Marte reported like 3 or 4 times that he was going to play for Gigantes. I don't know if he had an at bat. I have to look again. He may have had a couple, but he was supposed to be the ringer that they brought in for the playoffs. I don't think he played in the playoffs. And you know what the Gigantes did in the round robin playoffs? They went 2-15, so they didn't even make it out of the round robin. So much for that. Maybe Marte knew that the team was a stinker. So,
didn't want to waste his breath.
Or just, I don't know, like you said, he got hurt last time. So maybe he's like, maybe not.
And he got popped for steroids. And
yeah, so he's trying to avoid past mistakes, which shows growth, maturity, right?
Yes. So
shout out to Noelvi Marte, not making the same mistakes. And shout out to Hector.
2026 team MVP, Noelvi Marte.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
Ooh. And then pitcher of the year, Noelvi Marte as well.
Pitcher of the year, Elly De La Cruz.
Yeah. All right. Who could we give it to? Nick Martinez again. Why don't we just?
Yeah, he'll sign with like the Marlins, and then he'll somehow be Reds pitcher of the year.
Or no, the Reds would trade for him at the trade deadline, and he pitches 5 games.
All right, you want to do that? You want to do that real quick before we sign off? Our 2026 awards, who are all right, this is not planned, so pitcher of the year, I'll do mine first so you can think about it. Pitcher of the year is not going to be Hunter Green, just to keep up with tradition. Pitcher of the year is going to be Nick Lodolo. Good guy of the year is going to be TJ Friedel. And then team MVP is Noelvi Marte. And then prospect of the year will be Cam Collier.
Okay. Yeah. I do really want Hunter to get something. So I'm going to actually say Hunter Green, team MVP. Because for some reason he can never get pitcher of the year.
They're going to bring him back to be a 2-way player. That's the only way he gets it.
Yeah, exactly. The pitcher of the year, he's due for a real big year.
Phillips.
Yeah.
Graham Ashcraft. I mean, he was a top 35. What was he ranked? 35th out of all the relievers?
Yeah, he got a really high rating. It was weird because also like Chase Burns got a huge rating ahead of Lodolo and Abbott. So I don't know if that's based on like potential.
Yeah.
Even though he hasn't pitched that much out of the bullpen. Anyway, I'd say pitcher of the year will go to Chase Burns. I think Chase Burns will have a good year. He'll possibly even be that Nick Martinez role where he can come out of the bullpen and do some starts, but have kind of a long year. I know he's going to be on innings restriction, but there'll be obviously no love for Hunter, and I think Lodolo win if he gets traded though. Pitcher of the year.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
They might still give it to him.
I think they might.
And then minor league player of the year, definitely Alfredo Dunell.
Okay.
I think he's going to kill it in Dayton because it's even an easier ballpark to hit in. So he'll definitely, if anything, he'll probably end up in Chattanooga earlier than probably All-Star game.
Yeah, I wanted to say this. When we had Clay on, we had the Cam Collier discussion.
Yeah.
And Clay had mentioned about Collier's a guy he's okay with trading if the price is right. It's funny because Cam actually liked that post.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be fuel for him. I think I genuinely I think he's going to have a Sal Stewart type 2026, and I don't know. Maybe he doesn't get called up, but I think he's going to be knocking on the door pretty loudly. I like his swing. I think he's going to finally be healthy, not recovering from injury. Hopefully, knock on wood. He's he had the thumb surgery. I think that really took away his power, and I think being healthy, a full off season of rehab. I mean, we saw the home run he hit in the ACL, or not the ACL, the AFL Fall League was like 115 off the bat, 430 feet.
Yeah,
like it was crushed, and that's the stuff that he has, and I think we'll see more of that. And I think he's gonna go. I think he's probably gonna start the year out in AA, very quickly get to AAA, and I think he's knocking on the door. But we got to remember he was the Futures Game MVP, so
2024, yeah,
it's in there.
Yeah, he's definitely got it. And I forgot my humanitarian year. We'll give it Hunter Green as well. We'll give him double awards.
He should have got that last year.
Yeah, I don't know again what the criteria is. I think it's kind of an award that probably I don't think that they vote on. It's probably something where
I know it's probably just like some guys like, hey, give it to this guy this year.
Yeah, like he's been really in touch with the Cincinnati community, etc. But yeah,
you would think he should be like a serious candidate for like the Roberto Clemente Award.
He should be at least a handful of times in his career,
just based off of all of his stuff. When anything happens, he's donating cleats and gloves and stuff to kids or whatever. I mean, he's
got a scholarship fund that he uses for players that it is mostly focused on, I think, African American players in America, because that's he's African American. Unfortunately, it's like 6% of in Major League Baseball. Like African Americans are not playing as much. Obviously, they're Black Latino players all over, like Elly and wherever. But I think his cause closest to his heart, and literally himself, is to advocate for those type of players.
Yeah, as he should.
Yeah, so Roberto Clemente, I guess put that take out there. He should win at least one or two of those in his career, for sure.
Should. I think. See, baseball does such a bad job of marketing. Like the Roberto Clemente Award should be like
the Walter Payton Man of the
year. Walter
year.
Payton, like
that big.
Yeah,
for sure, easily. And it shouldn't be an award that's given out before the actual awards ceremony that they have on a Thursday night. Remember that?
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah. Anyway,
it just what they're doing, like they need to just fire marketing and just bring in new like try to sway some of the NFL guys out and just see if you can get them.
Anybody.
Because it's awful.
Yeah, that's a good point. And no, I think Manfred was in charge of VP of player. Something. It wasn't marketing, but it was something like real close, like labor relations, player labor relations, which is I guess to translate, he was a labor lawyer and basically probably fights against the union. So yeah, but anyway, actually, it's pretty fitting that he's kind of commissioner, because his job is to go up against Major League Baseball's player union during CBA conversations. So But, we also have that take on the show that he's a bad lawyer. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. You got anything else, Ricky?
No, that's all I got. I
appreciate like
taked
subscribe.
out.
Yeah, like, subscribe, comment all on our YouTube on All Gloves Out Sports Media YouTube, and we're a podcast on Spotify, Apple, and now iHeart. So shout out to them. If you gotten this far, please try to help us out. We're really appreciative of that. We're going to be giving you content from Arizona in about 6-7 weeks from now. So pay attention to that. We'll be putting that out there. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. But yeah, really appreciative of all the ones that got in the chat today, and everyone else that supports us and talks and interacts with us. So thank you to all of you guys, and thank you to Ricky also for all the behind the scenes stuff that you do for this show. If you're ready, let's do it. Thanks for watching. Go Reds.
Go Reds.